Dear Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Today I'll be giving my second speech. I would like to start off by thanking my fellow Toastmaster Daniel. I was highly impressed by his speech last week, and that was what inspired me to give a speech today. So thank you very much for a very nice speech last week. When I came to Canada in the late 90s, not many people knew about this disorder. And all of a sudden in the late 90s, it started to come up in the stats. By the way, I'll be sharing a lot of stats today related to psychology and neurology. Anyone study psychology and neurology from here? Okay. So anyhow, the stats started to come up, like you can say, in the late 90s or early 2000. And they started off by saying that every 10th person has this disorder. And now currently they're saying that every 4th person has this problem in North America. So from the developed countries, 350 million people are affected by this disease currently at the moment. And by 2020, psychology presumes that every single person will be affected by this disability by one way or another. In the last 25 years, the medication for this disease has increased more than 300 times. Any guesses so far? What this could be? Okay, my topic for today is depression. How many people have not heard about depression? Okay, good. Everyone has heard about it.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, what is depression? Depression is like a chemical imbalance. What is a chemical imbalance? Chemical imbalance is something that affects your emotions and your behavior. Okay. So, depression is also linked to drug use, suicide, hallucination, and panic attacks. Okay, so if a person has depression, since it's like growing like so rapidly, it's one of the rising syndromes. So how can you tell if someone has depression? I will talk about 6 points. Number 1, a person is easily irritated and angry. Number 1. Number 2, very frequent mood swings. Number 3, very negative, very pessimistic attitude. Number 4, socially isolated. If you look at the human psychology, by default, human is a social animal. So this is like, it reverses the psychology, social isolation. Number 5, always in a rush whatsoever. Whatever the situation may be, the person is always in a rush. And the last one, the most scariest one, no self-control when alone. So I mentioned 6 points. I hope everyone understood. Okay, so now to the important question, what triggers depression? Like, how do people get depressed? Again, 6 points. To cover up the 6 symptoms, number 1, a traumatic experience of life. Something that people went through, a bad experience that they cannot let go of. They're just keeping it inside and it's having a bad influence on them. And it's like controlling their. Number 2, no purpose in life. People who don't have any purpose in life, they're always confused most of the time. So they're trying different experiments here and there in order to find happiness. And happiness is something everyone is looking for, but you have to have a purpose in order to find happiness. Number 3, according to neurology, what we see is directly related to how we think, because psychology is related to the thinking process. So what we see has an effect on what we think. Number 4, overthinking and lack of sleep. You know how sometimes, it's very common in some cultures, like people who hold something against someone, they would just keep it inside of them for a long time. They can't just let it go. Whether it be a bad experience, whether it be like someone cheated on them, but they just keep it inside, they can't let it go, and they overthink about it again and again, again and again. As a result, it just doesn't let them to sleep properly. Number 5, people who hold a lot of jealousy and envy. It's like, I'll try to explain this with a very simple example. Let's say A is jealous of B. Whenever B is happy, A will be sad. Whenever B is chilling, A will be feeling bad. Simple as that. And the last one, This is actually one of the main reasons why it's growing in teenagers and youth. Excessive use of technology, especially the internet. They say that technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. That's a very powerful statement. Okay, so I talked about six things related to what causes it. Okay, now to the most important talk of my speech. Before I go into the most important talk, I'll just give an example. They did a survey like a couple of years ago on people who are depressed, and they asked them like, what would make you happy? What do you want in life? And 80% of them said money and fame. Money and fame. On the contrary, if you look at people who have money and fame, they are the ones who have this problem the most, depression and suicide. It's very, very ironic, but that's the reality of life. Okay, 6 cures for depression. Whoever practices these 6 things, they will not have depression, that's proven according to science. They will not have depression, and they will live a happy life. It's all scientifically proven through science and psychology. Number 1, very important one, the most important one out of all of them. People who express gratitude. People who are like thankful for everything they have. Just to elaborate on this point a bit, I will give some examples. World's population is 7 billion. World's population, total population is 7 billion. Every 5 seconds, a child dies because of hunger. Just imagine. Every 5 seconds, a child dies because of hunger. Out of 7 billion, 1 billion people don't have access to clean water. Don't have access to clean water. It's a big blessing, but people don't think about it. We have taken it for granted, right? It's very important to be thankful. Number 3, out of 7 billion, 1 billion people have some sort of disability related to their health. Number 4, 775 million people are uneducated and they cannot afford education. Number 5, my time is almost up. I wanted to take some time on it, but number 5, there's a very famous quote of Bruce Lee. People who live for others, they are the most happy ones. True living is living for others. People who serve their life helping others, they are the most happiest ones. And the last one, if the top 5 don't work, is take antidepressants. Okay, I think that is enough.